Welcome back to the Whatnauts Reactor Core number 89. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa,
hello.
How is your spooky season going?
It's good. Sometimes it's really spooky, and other times I'm in a spooky mood, but it's the middle of the day and there's no clouds and it's all sunshine. And I'm like, get out of here. Go.
Darkness, come to me.
Right. At least have like some wind come in and like blow the leaves from the trees. No,
right.
It's sunlight. The air is still.
There
Sometimes the weather doesn't cooperate when you're in a really spooky mood.
Oh, well. Melissa, we are here to talk about Marvel's special presentation, Werewolf by Night. I'm excited to dive into this one. This has been an interesting one to kind of watch the news cycle of, too, because it had always been kind of like a terribly kept secret of like, we know this is a thing. We know Michael Giacchino. Is it Giacchino or Giacchino? Because I've heard both of them. And I'm not sure
want to say
which one is which.
Giacchino, but
Okay,
I'd have to.
Giacchino.
We'll have to find an interview with the man. I'm sure he's fascinating.
Yeah. We knew that he was the one making it, but for the longest time, Marvel hadn't officially announced it. And it wasn't until recently that we finally got a trailer, and they were like, yes, it's a real thing, and it will be out this October, just in a couple weeks here. And here we are. It's finally a thing. We have watched it. Melissa, what did you think?
This was fantastic. Initially, I think maybe we knew it was going to be in black and white. It was going to be styled after an old movie. To see the proof of concept, that trailer from D23 was, I think, the highlight of the entire event for me, was that trailer. And then to watch the whole thing play out in front of you, they were right about how bloody this is, and you just don't realize it because it's in black and white. Like, this is gruesome. This is eerie. The whole thing feels like a dream. It's shot and designed so well. It is an absolute treat. This is a full king-size Snickers of a piece of entertainment.
I agree. I had really high hopes for this going in, like knowing, that they were going to do this black and white thing that is paying homage to like old Universal monster movies, from the Wolfman to Dracula and King Kong and all that stuff. I had high hopes because this is something that I've wanted the MCU to really double down on for the longest time. Really go hard on a specific genre. Like if you want to do like a horror MCU movie thing, do it. Don't like half-ass the just do it. And I think this is one of the first times that we've truly gotten this. I think there's a couple other examples in the MCU that I think you could point to, but nothing as visually obvious as like, oh yes, this is a Universal monster movie, and this did not disappoint. I loved this. I thought this was fantastic. I think also something else that's really neat about this is you don't need to know anything about the MCU.
No,
they mentioned the Avengers one time at the start, and that's it. Boom.
Right, it's like you've seen the Avengers, you know that world. This is the underworld of that. Like you could show this to your grandparents and they'll be able to get into it. I do appreciate that.
Very
you don't
accessible.
need anything going in, and it doesn't really overtly set up a lot going forward. We imagine we could see the surviving characters again, but there's no clear sense of when and where they are and how they might be connected to the rest of the world. And I kind of like that this isn't a stepping stone to something else. It's a big, cool, shiny rock all on its own.
Yeah, there is no like the werewolf will return in Avengers Kang Infinity. Right, like there's none of that. I forget what all the names are of the upcoming
Dynasty,
stuff. Kang Dynasty,
and Secret Wars. I imagine we're going to see everybody in Secret Wars. I just presume if I don't see them again before then, I'll see you at Secret Wars. This is
Yep.
what I write in their yearbooks after summer vacation.
Hags.
Thanks for a great year. See you in Secret Wars.
SYISW. Sisu. Right? I don't know.
Have a kick-ass Secret Wars.
This was fantastic, though. I think this, if you have not started like your spooky month, like I'm gonna watch a bunch of scary movies kind of thing, I think this is a great one to start on.
Yeah.
It really gets into the mood. It really gets into the vibe. I think it also subverts a lot of that too and flips it and in some really, really interesting ways. So yeah, if you were on the fence or was like, I don't know if I'm into the Marvel stuff, or maybe I stopped after Endgame and was like, I think that's a good point to jump off, but you were maybe interested in this, I say go check it out, because you need no prior knowledge, and it was fantastic. So good stuff with that. Well, I feel like we're not going to spend a whole hour or something on this, but I will say, like, hey, from here on out there will be spoilers, so I'm gonna run our spoiler graphic thing here. So yes, let's dive in to all of this stuff. Let's start with the new opening fanfare thing.
Fun.
That was neat too. Yeah, it starts out with the normal, like, Marvel Studios thing, but then there's claw marks on it. It turns to black and white. It starts to go more into this, like, Latin, almost Gregorian chants, like, version of the MCU theme song. That was neat. I love when we get these, like, different versions of this opening stinger. That's always a fun time. But then the thing that I guess I was not super expecting, I don't know if this is something we knew. I didn't know the Bloodstone family was gonna be in this. I'd
heard that. I knew that we were going to see Elsa Bloodstone. Didn't know who Elsa Bloodstone was, but I knew that name was the name of this character I saw in the trailer.
Maybe I knew that. I don't know. Like I heard the name the Bloodstones, and I was like, oh, this is where we're going. Okay, this is neat. I like this. Elsa Bloodstone. I don't know too much about the character. I know she is a monster hunter in the comics. She is kind of the black sheep of her family. And yeah, she comes from a family of monster hunters. I've seen her. I can probably count on a single hand the number of times she's popped up in comics that I've read and stuff. Yes, Melissa from
more or less than Crusher Creel. What's your Crusher Creel number? So I've got some sort of a baseline.
I feel like I've seen Crusher Creel more in popular media, period.
Household name, Crusher Creel.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a fairly reoccurring character, was in the Mighty Thor comics that we read on the review show. In the Netflix, like mentioned in the Netflix Daredevil show.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's that's all I know.
So she's more obscure than Crusher Creel. I'm gonna set him as my baseline for all characters going forward.
This is the Creel line, right? The Creel theory. Yeah, I was excited to see the Bloodstones in this. I always get Elsa Bloodstone mixed up with, and again, I'm forgetting her name. I think she's going to be in Secret Invasion. Used to lead Sword, Abigail Brand.
Yes.
Yeah, I always get those two mixed up of like who's who and who's what. I know one has green hair in the comics and used to run Sword, but that's it. But yeah, it's an all new direction for
Yeah.
the MCU that I was really, really excited to see here. And I think this ended up serving as kind of a backdoor pilot, so to speak, or like an introduction to Elsa Bloodstone. What did you think of her?
I liked her. I like that we've got her context in being a black sheep to her family, but we have no idea what the rest of her life is. I really like how much character they're able to set up and how much they're able to leave open in the length that this special is. We know her really well on one facet, and then the other ones are a really fun mystery. You know, when did she leave home? What did she go on to do? Does she fight monsters her own way in her own spare time, separate of this whole monster fighting society? Or did she just go get like a desk job? And sometimes she fights monsters on weekends.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I liked her a lot too. She reminded me a lot of Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones from the Netflix. I was like, what if Jessica Jones was a monster hunter instead? And I liked that vibe. I don't know if that is truly what the character will be. But that is at least the vibe that I got from this thing, and I enjoyed that a ton. I hope we get to see more of her again. I hope she appears in Blade, or if we ever get a Midnight Suns movie, or even some like Monsters Unleashed thing. I just hope that we get more of her. That would be great. That'd be great. But the titular werewolf. What did you think of our werewolf friend here, Jack?
It takes a long time to introduce the werewolf concept, actually. That doesn't show up until like into the second act.
Yeah. We do see him at the start. Like the character that plays him, we see him like
he's there the whole time, but you don't know he's a werewolf until pretty deep into the special. Like he alludes to it, like when he's talking to Elsa about how, you know, you've got this family legacy you're carrying. I've got a family legacy I'm carrying. I'm really trying hard not to be the same, have the same situations happen to me that happened to like my parents. Like he says things that can allude to it. But yeah, you have to wait a while to get the werewolf. But I think the werewolf is worth waiting for.
Very satisfying indeed. Absolutely looks and moves and feels like these old Universal monsters. I loved it. I think a theme for me of this, and I think one of my biggest disappointments, which again, I was not disappointed by this at all, but if I can say, like, I think that was the most disappointing thing is I feel like this special expertly crafted what they told you of the characters enough to get you interested and enough to know just exactly what you needed to know and hint at the right things. But then I also felt like this was not enough. Like I don't know enough about these characters to really form like, oh yes, I feel like I know who Jack is, or I feel like I know who Elsa is, or Ted, which we will talk about in a sec here. But that is the one thing of just like, I wish there was like half an hour more. Just make this a movie, right? That I think this would have worked as a full length movie. I think this would have been fantastic, and I'm kind of wondering why it was not. Like
I think the idea of it being like a throwback TV special.
Sure,
like so few things do a special anymore. It does get blown up into a feature film or a series. I really like that they're like, nope, here's 50 minutes in and out. We don't know yet when you'll see him again. You'll just have to be patient.
You and I, on one of our other podcasts, The Captain's Log, was talking about how Armor Wars got moved from a Disney Plus show to now being a movie, but that we weren't sure if it was a movie that would be getting a theatrical release. Maybe this is one that would just go straight to Disney Plus or who knows what. Like that's kind of what I'm wonder, like, why didn't they just make this? Yeah, it is still a special presentation, but it's just an hour and a half movie that went straight to Disney Plus. Something like that could have been neat, but man, I want more. I need more.
I love what we get to learn about these characters. Our main character, Jack, he's got a real lovely sort of genial, gentle demeanor when we meet him before he turns into a werewolf. I really like that he's got this paint on his face that's reminiscent of the Dia de los Muertos skulls purposefully. And then when he transforms into a werewolf, it's still there. Like he's covered with werewolf hair, but his skin like still has the paint on it. I like that part of his identity is so consistent, like in any form that you see him in. I really look forward to getting to know him better. And, are there specific ancestors he wants to honor? Did he have a positive relationship with his parents or with his grandparents? Is he part of a legacy that people know? Were the people in his town aware of the werewolves? Were they frightened of the werewolves? There's a lot to tell about him. But I look forward to it. Like, I think the absences this narrative leaves are well chosen, and it makes you excited for when they're going to get filled in the future.
Absolutely. Kind of the twist of this is that all of these monster hunters are brought together to basically conduct this hunt in this maze thing. It's the same architecture style as like those MC Escher paintings.
I loved the maze so much.
All twisted, but that maze looked fantastic.
Yeah, I love that it is just like stark and blocky and like so obviously constructed to be a maze. Like they didn't just take over a small town they found somewhere. They built this labyrinth on purpose. And it's got just sort of like
ground. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just got like blocks and platforms and like little like sets of 6 stairs that go nowhere. It feels like a very classy, spooky version of a laser tag arena in like a really good way. I love it. I love that I love the use of plants. That one area where Elsa's fighting the guy and she like rips his arm off. There's like platforms set into the ground and these really interesting like plants growing up through the cracks in all of the platforms. The greenery design was wonderful. They picked, because it is black and white, they picked plants with really interesting shapes to them. I love that it is this unsettling, like liminal space that exists exactly for one thing. And there's a mausoleum in there, but otherwise nothing, no space that they're in serves a purpose other than running and hunting and hiding and escaping.
Yeah. And they are in this maze to do a hunt to see who will get this bloodstone. The one who wins the hunt, the last survivor, the one that kills the monster, will get this bloodstone. And Jack is in there in this hunt. He was picked to go first into this thing, and he encounters the monster, and this arm comes out and grabs him, and you think, well, that's it for this dude. But then he goes, oh, hey, buddy, old pal.
It's so sweet.
And that is the twist, is that he knows this monster and he's good friends with him. And we learn that the monster's name is Ted, and it is in fact Man-Thing. It is Marvel Comics' version of Swamp Thing from DC Comics there. And yeah, Man-Thing looked fantastic. Ted was great. I loved him.
Yes. He gets so much personality across, even though he doesn't speak. He sort of garbles and makes noises. His visual design is so cool. I love the one shot you get at
Very
him at
accurate.
the end when you can really get a good look at him. I don't know from Man-Thing. I know that is the name of a creature. I think maybe you did tell me once that is the equivalent of Swamp Thing, but I know like what he looked like, what his backstory was. I didn't know he was a man at one point before he was a Man-Thing, and he had a man name, so his name is Ted. so charming. Yes, and I love that is Jack's mission. Is he doesn't care about the Bloodstone. He's here just to break his friend the monster out of the training labyrinth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like they have a lot of history. What did you think of their relationship together? Because I got the kind of subtext that they were in some kind of relationship together. Maybe they're
possibly
gay. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
It
unclear.
seems like they were.
It's not defined exactly.
It seems like they are at least very, very good long-time friends.
Yes, at the very least,
very close.
That the only other like evidence that kind of points to that is I don't remember the name of the like Scottish dude, but at the start when he meets Jack, he's kind of hitting on Jack just a little bit, right?
And I see that.
I feel like there is this implication that Jack is gay, or that even within the monster hunting community, maybe they know that already, because like they might not have met, but they seem to have like a certain respect of like, oh, I've heard of you, yeah, like I know who you are. So I'm wondering if that is a thing or not. But what did you think?
I thought the relationship was very sweet between Jack and Ted, no matter what it is. I look forward to getting to know them better and like what the relationship is with each other, and if how far it goes back, and if Jack knew him before he was ManThing.
Yeah,
if he knew Ted, human Ted, before.
Yeah, because they have like at the and after the werewolf has escaped and ManThing goes out to follow him, it's kind of implied that ManThing found him, built this little like wooden teepee thing out of sticks to like surround him, and also went back to go get the record player so that he could play music for him when he wakes up. He has a French
press full of coffee. That is very domestic, the scene they have at the very end. Sure.
It is very much like, hey, I care deeply for you. I wanted it to be like when you woke up and came to, I want you to be as comfortable as possible. But you see ManThing with this little like dandelion thing on him, which might just be growing on him, but it's unclear.
Or he placed it there purposefully as a boutonniere, as a style element.
Absolutely, that could be a thing. And then the mug that he gives to Jack has a dandelion all on it. So I don't know if he just likes dandelions.
Right. It's a symbol of some sort of bond. I think about Natasha wearing the necklace with the tiny arrow on it in Winter Soldier to symbolize her friendship with Clint. It's definitely a symbol, like whether it's romantic or just very, very strongly bonded, like longtime platonic friendship. I love it either way. I think it is very sweet.
Yeah, I think if you think of the dandelion as a symbol, right, as a metaphor for something, you could even read into that as like a love for dead things, right? Because those like white things that you blow on and they all float in the wind, that's just a dead dandelion. Those are the seeds of them, and kids love them. But also, if you're trying to like upkeep a lawn, like they're a nightmare. You don't like, oh no, don't blow on that because it's just gonna spread and it's gonna get everywhere. But it is like this dead thing that people kind of love to interact with.
Weed.
Right,
it's the yellow dandelion, the dandelion weed. Yeah, something that is a scourge that people are trying to exterminate.
Yeah, and I think the relationship between the two is kind of that. It is this like love and fascination for this thing that is often considered a bad thing or a negative thing there. So that's an interesting one. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I want more. I hope they are building to some kind of like Midnight Suns, or we get to see them again in Blade. I had a feeling that that picture of that creature with the two fangs kind of
Yeah.
in the middle. Also, it was the same one that was they had the bust of it hanging up on their wall like a trophy. I have a feeling that's Dracula. It
Ooh.
seems to be a vampire, this bat type of thing. The Latin in there, according to the New Rock Stars Easter egg breakdown thing, seems to imply it is this kind of vampiric bat thing. But the fact that Jack is like, I've tussled with that one multiple times.
Yeah.
I just have a hunch that's like, I wonder if that's Dracula.
I don't know if it's literally Dracula. Of course, I don't know how Dracula is in the Marvel lore. Dracula is a public domain character that anybody can pick up and morph and change and adapt into whatever they need for a character.
Yeah.
But it does have vampire vibes. I can see that becoming part of the vampire lore in Blade.
Yeah, and it might not be Dracula. It just might be a really strong, well-known vampire. Because we do have Blade coming up eventually. We know he will be hunting vampires and stuff. I don't see why they wouldn't put Dracula as a character in that movie. So yeah, like I feel like there's as I kind of mentioned before, it's so expertly packed full of the right details to make you interested and know the right things about characters. I feel like this is packed with more Easter eggs than we know.
Yeah.
The monsters that are on the wall, the Latin that's on the wall, all of these murals, the swords that were there and they used. I feel like this is an introduction to a world that we don't know yet. And in stuff like Agatha, Coven of Harkness, or Blade, or who knows what, we will start to be like, we saw that in Werewolf by Night. Now I know what that is. Okay. Like I'm interested to know what will be a recurring thing in there, or a tip of the hat of like, aha, that was a picture of the Wendigo and you didn't know, you thought that was Bigfoot.
I love Wendigos.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I had a blast with this. I thought this was phenomenal.
Just sets the mood so well. I was disappointed that I had to watch it today, and like I closed my blinds. I tried to make my room as dark as possible, but I can see like the little bit of sunlight out the blinds. It's like middle of the afternoon. It's so bright. Like this is made for a drizzly gray afternoon. That's when you're supposed to watch it, I think. Yeah.
Last thing I will say about this is I think it had some really interesting character design, too. We get a number of these hunters that we don't really learn too much about because by the end, they're all dead. But just interesting design. We don't know if they like. There was that one character who was really, really tall in that really skinny white outfit. Like they almost felt like they were an alien or something, which I assume that they are not because of the way this monster hunting thing worked. They wanted to get rid of those monsters. But just fascinating look.
And they're wearing like fur. And the fur makes that character feel a little bit more
creature-like.
Like close to the monsters, maybe in a way where like they are a tracker, like they've really gotten inside the head of the various monsters, or like that's their particular specialty, like, and it's all white fur. It's like, I hunt the monsters of the north.
Yeah. Be warned, all you Yeti, and fear me, right? Like that stuff. I had a blast with this. Please go check it out if you have not. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Because more of this, please.
Stunning, right? So atmospheric. I love it aesthetically so much. I was telling my mom about this and how it was in black and white, and she's like, I've never read a comic book that's in black and white.
There's
She's like, well,
a
would
lot
the
of-
comic book be in color? Why is the movie in black and white? I love how much genre influence it has to the old horror movies, and it's got some amazing kills in it. If you're the horror movie fan who loves the like dramatic bloody kills and the really interesting like choreography and effects of that, there's good stuff in here.
Yeah. There are some, like, I wouldn't say this is particularly gory, but I think for the MCU, there were a couple gruesome kills in here that was just like, oh, okay, hello.
Yeah, they are gruesome. I think the gore of it is shielded so much by the fact that it's in black and white. Although there's the one incredible shot where Werewolf by Night is fighting his way through that hallway with like the blood splatter on the camera, and the camera is pushing in on this scene
As
just
it's, like,
as the big door at the end
down
is
the screen.
yeah. And the big door at the end is like slowly closing, and like he could run away at any time, but he's like, I gotta fight all these guards.
Yeah.
All these guards that look very much like TVA guards, but they're never referred to by name. It's never clarified like exactly who they are or where they came from. I kind of dig that. I love how just
The Bloodstone security force somehow.
Yeah, they've got those sort of like taser baton things that like the TVA hunters have.
Yeah.
I like how mysterious and like open-ended and unexplained everything is. I think they really picked what they were going to explain and what they weren't very wisely.
Yeah. I know the next kind of like short special thing that we're getting is the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Yes. Yes.
We already kind of know what the Guardians vibe is like, but we don't know what it would be like for a holiday special. So that will be an interesting one to think about. But I hope we get more just kind of one-off presentations like this. Because that I think will really help to introduce new characters, new concepts, and like test out like, hey, can we go down this genre? Is this something people would like? And then explore it more in a show or a movie or something. Because yeah, that was amazing. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I'm so happy they experimented, and the experiment definitely paid off.
It worked. Fabulous stuff. I think that's about it for our reaction, our review spoiler discussion thing. So yeah, that is about it. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, a show I co-host with my brother James about weird old kid shows you feel like only you remember. And we are gearing up for quite a Halloween month over there.
Good stuff. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. If you guys would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. Stay tuned to our YouTube page and here on the Reactor Core, because the finale of She-Hulk is this next week. So stay tuned for all of that. This has been number 89 of the Whatnauts Reactor Core. Go like, share, subscribe, and we will see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.